Okay, so today I'm going to show you how to disassemble your PS4 to service it, do internal cleaning. It's really important to every once in a while take apart these consoles, clean them out because they're going to get dusty on the inside. The thermal paste is going to dry out, and that'll help you get a lot more life out of your console. So this is just a base PS4. There are two different versions of this that have different disassembly processes. This is the one that's going to have touch buttons on the front instead of click buttons. These ones usually have a glossy panel over here, and they will have 4 screws on the back. So the first thing you're going to want to do is take the warranty stickers off. Once you have those stickers off, you expose the 4 screws. I just use either some tweezers or like a little pick, just something to punch in, pull the sticker off. Now throughout the video I'm going to be pausing just to take out the majority of the screws and stuff. I'm going to do that just because it's kind of easier for me to take some of this stuff apart, putting it to the side without like this stand in front of me. And also it cuts down on the watch time so you don't have to spend as much time watching this. So we're going to take these 4 screws out, and those screws are T9 Torx. Alright, once you have those 4 screws out, then this panel just pushes off. There's nothing but tension holding that on. They can be really stiff sometimes, and then you'll expose the 2 screws holding this panel on. Once you remove those 2 screws, then you can just pull this off. You can lift it up in the front here and then push it back. Again, these panels sometimes can be extremely stiff. And then the bottom, you want to pull it down in the back here and then lift it out. And then I'm going to vacuum some of this up real quick. A quick note for when you're cleaning it up, on the bottom panel here, you'll see right behind the button, this metal piece, sometimes dust and hair and stuff will collect around there. So you want to make sure to get all that out from around there. That could interfere with your eject button working. So, next, we have a whole bunch of Torx screws all around here. And then we have 2 Phillips holding on the processor and 1 holding your hard drive in. So, just gonna take this screw out, and then your hard drive will slide right out. That screw's the only thing really holding it in. And then to take these out, I'll loosen one a bit of the way, and then I'll loosen the other one and take it all the way out. You can get that out of the way. This is your fan. You can unplug that. It pulls up. It doesn't pull out. If you try to pull it out, you're going to break it. So, then you can come back around, take out all these Torx screws. Okay, once you have all those screws out, you can come over to the other side. And while I'm taking these out, I'm leaving everything in piles from the section that I took it out of to make it a little easier to remember where all the screws came from. So back on this side, you have a bunch of Torx screws around, as well as 2 Phillips here for the power supply, and 1 small Phillips up here that you need to take out. All these other small screws on the disk drive, you don't need to worry about. Don't take any of those out. Now, when you take this screw out here, this is the only thing holding your Bluetooth antenna on. So once you have that popped out, be mindful of your Bluetooth antenna. And then you have a plug here that you're going to need to unplug. Might need to grab a little hook or something just to get the wires out so you can grab them. And then take something to help you pry up your power supply. You might need to give it a little oomph to get it off of those prongs there. And then unplug that. That'll just make it easier to get through. And now this one does have it. Some of them do, some of them don't. They have an extra screw down here that is 100% useless. I don't know why some of them have it and some of them don't. And then you can unplug this. This just pops straight up. This is your Bluetooth antenna. So you can take this out, set that to the side, and start taking these wires out. You're going to need to get it, you'll need to take it out of this anyway, but you'll need to get it out just to give you some meat to grab onto to unplug it. To get this ribbon out, you pull this metal tab here back, and then once you lift it up, this part is just going to fall off once you take all the screws. That's that cover from here that we took the screws out of first. But you'll pull that metal tab back, and then you can work that ribbon out. And then underneath this ribbon and this wire, there is another Torx screw right there that was hiding under it, that's holding the disk drive in. So you want to take that out, and then you can work the disk drive. Just lifts right out. I'm going to set that to the side for now. We'll come back to it later. We're going to come back to this side, and then now we can lift our motherboard up. You want to lift it up a little bit and then pull it back out. And then what you're going to want to do is clean up the old dry thermal paste off of here and off of your processor. Just use a Q-tip with some isopropyl alcohol. And for over here, you can take a paper towel with some alcohol and wipe it down. Just make sure your alcohol is at least 91% or higher isopropyl alcohol. Alright, when you get this clean, just make sure you get everything off of the processor. You want your processor to be nice and shiny. And then we can just set that aside for right now. We're going to come back to it and put some fresh thermal paste on there. Also, you'll see a bunch of these pads. You'll see them on there too, as well as they're on the motherboard itself. Don't lose any of those. Those thermal pads are very important. Like this one is already kind of not sticking. I'm just going to put this right back on the motherboard. Alright, got that stuck back on. Then here there's just three Phillips screws, two up here and one down here. Alright, once you got those out, you can just lift this straight out. This has your radiator. This one's pretty nasty. You can just clean this up. I'll take a vacuum and kind of vacuum some of it. You can come in with a toothbrush and kind of scrub it real good. Same with the fan. So the fan has two screws here and here. Once you have those out, you can just lift the fan straight out. Sometimes this little piece might come out with it. You can just slap that back in. There's another thermal pad. Must have fallen off from there. Put that back on. But yeah, you can come around, clean it up like that. I'm going to do it over the trash can. I'm not going to do anything here. And then for here, you can hold the fan like this and just kind of scrub around it. Get as much of that dust. The fan's not terrible on this one. It's mainly just that radiator that's blocked up. Alright, now once you have that cleaned up, you can put your fan back in. You just kind of slot it under that tab. And then you'll put those two small Phillips screws back in. Once you have those in, you can take this and drop that back in. And then you put those three screws in. Once you get those three screws back in, you can come in with your motherboard. Make sure you have a nice fresh dollop of thermal paste on there and that all your thermal pads are there. And then slot it in. I probably should have put all those down there. Most of the time the pads stay stuck on pretty well, but sometimes they like to try to escape. So, come back in with your motherboard. Make sure you don't get your plug jammed up for your fan. Then you can just plug that in right off the bat. You could grab this piece. Take your hard drive. Put your hard drive back in. This clamp back in. You want this nub to go down, so it's kind of, you see how it's bowed up a little bit. You want to be pushing down against these because you're trying to get pressure on your processor. So you'll set that on top like that. Drop your two screws in. And I'll come in, I'll tighten one most of the way down, basically just the reverse of what I did to take them off. Then I'll come back in. Tighten this one down tight. Come back over here. Tighten that one down. And then just check. Make sure they're real tight. And then we can come back in and put all those Torx screws back in. All around the edge here. Except this one right here. And this one that goes in here. Those are the two for the top panel here. So you put everything in just leaving these two open. Alright, now once you have all of those screws back in, we can set this aside. And now we're going to come back to the disk drive. The disk drive on these, they have 3 main screws, 2 up here, 1 down here. Those are Phillips screws. You're going to want to take all 3 of those off. Once you have those off, then you can lift this up and it comes out. There's a little tab here. I don't know if you saw it, but it links under there on this side. Take this up, get a paper towel with some isopropyl alcohol, and clean up that felt a little bit. Come in with a Q-tip and clean this other side here. I'm going to clean the laser first. And then come down here, and these rollers, you want to hit these pretty good. Get them nice and saturated. Kind of help revitalize them. Then you come in over here, and that'll turn them. Turn it a little bit, and then come in and I had somebody walk in the shop, so I had to help them. Then I finished cleaning this off camera. You just keep rotating it with this. Rotate it a little bit, wipe it down, rotate it a little bit, wipe it down until you have everything cleaned and more saturated. And then get a little Q-tip with some alcohol and gently touch up your laser. Then you can come back to this, take that Q-tip and just kind of gently clean up behind that felt. Maybe hit the front a little bit more. That was like entirely off camera. Sorry about that. Just want to clean that up a little bit more off camera. Then you can take this and snap that back into place. Make sure it's sitting under here well. And then you can put your 3 screws back in. Alright, once you have those 3 screws back in, you're all good, ready to go with your disk drive. You set that back aside. Bring this back. We'll drop the disk drive back in. Just kind of ease it in. There's this little metal tab here. Make sure that's over, not under. And then before we do anything else, we're going to put that 1 screw back in that's hidden. So now we'll work this back around all that stuff. It goes under this one, over this one, and then you can plug it back in and push it under that little hook there. Take your Bluetooth antenna that back on. Put the screw back over there just so it stays in place. And you can pop it in here. And it comes around this, around that, and then you can snap it right back into place. Might be a little tricky to get. I know I just like snapped it right in, but you just want to snap it straight down. It shouldn't take a lot of force to snap it in. So if you're having to push hard, it's probably not aligned. Those can be tricky to get aligned properly. And then you can take your ribbon and it just plugs right in. Take this plug, plug that in, and you can take your power supply, make sure you have your plug out. You can pop your power supply back down. You might need to give it a little extra push over here, but again, you shouldn't have to push hard. So if you are having to put a lot of force, take it back out. Maybe one of those got bent a little bit. You don't want to put too much force on it because you might break something down there. And then plug your wire back in. Take these, drop those back in, and then remember, all the rest of these are the Torx except the one all the way up here. That's this tiny Phillips. So now you can go around and put all the rest of your screws back in. Alright, once you have all those back in, then you can take this, rock that back into place. Rock that back into place. Put these two screws back in. Once you have those screws back in, you can take this panel and get that back in. And then you can come back here and put those 4 screws back in. And once you have those 4 screws back in, you're all done. PlayStation's all nice and refreshed. I hope you found this video helpful, and stay tuned for more.